Hello, this is Mikey Bizan, and I am animating some Goopy sea creatures. As you can see, there's a dolphin, and here's a little turtle. These are things I did about a year ago. But I had some more ideas that I want to animate. I figured I might as well record a little bit of the process. These are completely finished. I'm not going to be cell shading or coloring the ones that I'm working on today, but just figuring out basic path of motion and what kind of action these creatures can do. And here's the last one I did, which was a whale. I was going to animate some bubbles shooting out of his eyeballs. I forgot about that. But anyways, so this is what I'm working on right now, and I'll just show you some of the ideas I had. This is gonna be a fish that jumps around and twirls in a seamless loop, and then I had this one of a squid, and I draw this little tube thing to help me keep the volume kind of consistent, and also start thinking about, like, up here it's gonna slow down and then speed up again as it goes back into its dive. So just kind of planning out these little paths of motion, it really helps the animation process go a little easier. And I guess I'm just gonna start on one of these. I suppose I'll just start on this one that's open right here. I'm gonna turn the opacity down a little bit. Or I could do this jellyfish, it might be easier. Jumps up and then it's gonna spin down. But I think I'll do this squid. I like animating sea creature type stuff because the gravity is a lot more forgiving. You can have things float around and it doesn't look weird because it's underwater, so it's natural that it would be floaty. You don't have to deal with like conveying weight like you would a jointed character on the ground. So what I'm actually gonna do is just start roughing in these shapes here, and so like I know this is the general shape, and I'm just gonna start figuring out like this, like a general shape of it is this body shape. I'm not even gonna worry about its tail or the eyeball. Right now I'm just gonna get this basic shape going around, and so now I'm just gonna kind of straight ahead it, trying to keep the volume relatively consistent and scrubbing the frames back and forth so I can compare the previous frame to the current frame that I'm doing. Make sure it feels good. This is a way to kind of check the animation as I'm going. And I'm basically going to think about this as animating on like every other frame. In other words, I'm gonna go over later and add in-betweens. So when I go over later, imagine this is a frame and this is a frame. I would add the shape in between, so it'll be even smoother once I actually start playing it. I'm just going as fast as possible to get a shape in. And how it's kind of bunched up here, it's going to start accelerating as it goes down, just like the bouncing ball exercises. So many of the principles you learn in the bouncing ball can be applied to other stuff. And we're going to have him kind of stretching a little bit. God says you are an inspiration. Thank you, God. I appreciate that. So now I'm going to just play this tiny little bit we've got going so far. And this animation is going to be 15 frames a second when it's finished. But as I'm roughing these things out, I'm actually going to do it half of 8 frames a second, which is roughly half. It'd be 16 frames if it was really half. But this basically is going to be the timing. So once I add in-betweens, it's still going to be moving exactly this fast. It'll just be smoother. So I like to animate on half the actual final frame rate when I'm doing this stuff. And I have my lightbox showing the previous 2 drawings, so I can kind of keep an idea of the relative spacing. If it was only showing the previous 1 drawing, I would have no context of where the other frame is, and things might start slowing down or speeding up in a way I don't like. What's up, Jeff? Jazz Wolf Blaze? Kid Pin says, the motion path is really cool to see. I like that you made it out in a tube instead of a single line. It makes it easier to see how it overlaps in space. Exactly. And I'm not going to be cleaning these up or doing anything polished. This is literally just going to be about getting the rough motion in. Because once you get that in, basically all the thinking work is mostly done. Then it's a matter of basically polishing things. But in a way, I'm not really even thinking that much because, again, the power of a motion path is you've already plotted out a good chunk of the action. There's no real nuances, but you're getting the idea in. And since these are goopy sea creatures, I'm not super duper concerned about the accuracy of the creature, but I do kind of want to be mindful of the general volume of this goopy shape and make sure it's not just expanding in volume. I want the squash and stretch to be there. And I'll probably have to do a little bit of correcting on these volumes, but right now I'm just trying to get this guy going. And I can already see he's sort of shrinking as he goes here. But that might be okay because maybe he's like going back in space a little bit this way. So I'll just have to be sure that he starts to return to his size on the first frame once he starts getting closer to there. And I think I'm going to draw his eye kind of spinning around. So even though this is pretty flat right now, once you add the eye pointing in different directions, that'll show the way his body is oriented in 3D space, and that can help make it feel a little more dynamic. He's gonna go down before he goes up. And his bottom part continues down as the tip of his nose starts to go up in the opposite direction. When I'm drawing rough, I just kind of do a bunch of little kind of scratches, and I might clean it up slightly later before actually doing the clean line work, because sometimes it's well, before my animation partner does the clean line work, because sometimes it's hard to know which line you're supposed to be going for, but it's kind of more like sculpting at this stage where you're just sculpting this form. Okay, let me just check this a little bit. Alright, I think I know what I'm going to do here. I think he needs to slow down just a little bit right here. I'm going to add one frame and make this one favor the next frame a little bit, just so that he slows a little bit on this arc. Always want things to cushion on arcs, either in the middle if it's slowing down up here, or if it's like a pendulum, then it'd actually be fastest in the middle and it'd start to cushion in on the far ends of the pendulum swing. So you just have to keep in mind whatever the context of the motion is. Okay, I think that reads a little better. So then he's going to start going fast, and then I'm actually going to have him stretch more here. Start to really stretch up, so his bottom is going to trail back behind slower for a little longer. And we can even maybe when I add the eye, have the eyeball kind of stretch really far. Not too much like a Looney Tunes character, but just a little bit more stretch on this upswing, so that there's more contrast when he comes up here. He can bunch together and get a little bit wider. Let's see what this looks like. Well, he's kind of, yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Yeah, timing charts, I think they help a lot, especially in a studio context where you're working with other people who are going to be completing your characters and everything. I've never really done that because I just kind of feel things out. I'm always doing things pose to pose, but also with a lot of straight ahead. And I just kind of work things out and figure it out. Just kind of like playing jazz, I guess. Alright, now he's going to start getting slow down a little bit up here. His bottom's going to start to shoot up and catch up with the rest of his body. And he's going to get a little bit thicker on this high point. Start to try to... Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to take this frame and, for the sake of trying to keep this relatively consistent, create a new layer, paste them, and flip them horizontally. And then, ooh, actually he's like totally in the wrong shape, but this might just kind of help as like a little bit of a reference. Just so I can try to keep it semi-consistent here. It's like comes up here, and that is where he can start to return to his former glory. Okay, but his nose isn't gonna be like that. But let's just see here. I'm just eyeballing. So his head is actually way bigger. I think it's more like that. So let's see here. Be like that. I would probably be about there. And his tail. I'll definitely have to probably redo the tail part, but well, I can always tweak things later, but I think that's all right for now, just as a guide. So I'll just have to make sure the frames that are coming into this pose start to match it a little bit more. Might have to add an in-between right here. What's up, Geoff Carroll 05? He says, I'm used to keyframes. I can only animate in Flash. We adjust frames per second in Macromedia. Micah, I can only hear you in right ear, no stereo. Oh, snap. Hold on a second. That is April Foolish. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Oh, crap. I just closed my file. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Did I not save? Oh, no. This is... Well, I guess this might be the end of this. I might try to stream again some other day if I don't have my file. 240. Yeah, I lost all that. Well, that's sad. Okay. Well, let me just see about the audio input really quick. Because going into one ear, it didn't do that last time. So this is sad. Well, this might be the end of this stream, actually. So, because I don't want to just like troubleshoot technical issues. That would be super lame. And yeah. Audio output. Okay, goodbye. That's it. I'm sorry. Peace out. Thanks for watching.